Alright, hey everybody, welcome to Vapor Trails Racing. We are here with Tony and Matt. We are here today to build up Tony's 2022 Mongoose Pro Double XL?
Yes.
Double XL. So we're going to take you through every step on how to put together a bike from scratch. Hopefully it's helpful for you. Alright, so we have the seat post and the seat clamp in. Very important, it's the first thing we put on because that's how we're going to mount it to our work stand. Now kids, you go out and you get yourself a good work stand because that's going to make your life so much easier. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the drivetrain. Drivetrain is your crankset, your bottom bracket. Got our park tool grease so that we can grease all our orifices up really well. Okay. If you need to come in and, you know, poke in there and do what you need to do. Okay. So, over here. Okay. When you are putting a bike together, grease is your friend. Grease is really, really, really your friend. You can always wipe the excess grease away. Grease, 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 grease. Okay. So what do we got here? We got our 11 sealed press fit bottom bracket. Pretty much becoming the standard in the industry, press fit, which don't get me started on that. Okay. These are spacers in case you have to make your bearings wider on your bottom bracket. We should not need them on this frame. But one of the little things you can do is put your bottom bracket together. Just give it a little quick look like that, and we should be able to press those in no problem. So, we greased our cups on our bottom bracket shell, which is this piece right here. We're going to grease the cups on our bottom bracket bearings. That like, yeah. This right here is your dust sleeve. That's going to prevent dust, dirt, grit, grime getting in there. And our camera lady almost fell over. So what we're going to do is we're going to press our side in that does not have the dust sleeve on it first. Okay? And we're going to do that with our handy dandy bearing press that I got off of Amazon for 20 bucks. If you ever have to press fit bearings of any kind, bottom brackets, headset, you want yourself one of these. We do not use a block and a hammer anymore. That is a no-no. That's how we did it back in the old days. We do not need to do that now. So,
a lot of curse words were said pushing those old bottom brackets in. Press up, press up.
We're going to slide your press through just like this. Slide your bearing on. Kind of get it seated fairly straight. Slide your next side over. Oop, you know what? I should actually be doing this the other way around. It's good that we see me mess up some stuff. So we want to do it like so. So we want to slide that in, seat that bearing on there, slide this over here. Normally this won't take this long because you won't be talking to yourself like I'm talking to myself.
The best conversation he's had all day.
So we want to turn this nut up here. Very important with this, we want to get this started straight. Straight as we can. Okay? So we're going to hold our other side. Back it off. Start trying to work that cup in straight, which it's not, of course. That's a little better. This is going to be the hardest thing we do all day. Hopefully. Either that or I just severely jinx this. Okay. Alright, now that we got this set here, we can hold our other side. It's going to be easier maybe if I have an adjustable wrench at some point, but which I don't have with me. But I think we're good. We got enough grease. So I'm just basically holding the other side of this, which most of the time you're going to have an adjustable wrench or another wrench, but I can hold it by hand. We're just turning that bearing in till it's snug, and we're good. So we got one side in. Oop, our dust cap came off, but that's fine. We'll put that back on. Okay, so we have our first cup in. And basically what we're going to do is we're just going to repeat that on the other side. Alright, now we're to the point where we're going to install our two-piece cranks. We got Tony a set of Pro Max cranks here, 177.5s. Okay, we got everything greased up really well because, again, grease is our friend. We're just going to slide these in through the bearings like so. Okay. Now you get to the end, you may need a rubber mallet. Okay.
There we go.
So, we got that. And what we're going to do is we're going to install the other side. Make sure the logos are out. That makes it faster. It's scientifically proven. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to loosen this up so we can show you guys for the camera, if our camera person would be so kind as to come over here. Okay. We have our crank arm with our pinch bolts on either side and our compression bolt. We're going to throw that on our splines, making sure that our cranks are even. Nice straight line. We're going to take our compression bolt, which in this case Pro Max gives us a 5mm compression bolt. We're going to take our compression bolt. We're going to start tightening it up. Now, very important with the compression bolt, you just want to snug it because, like the name says, we're just setting the compression against the bearings. This is not to keep the cranks tight. That's what our pinch bolts are for. Okay? So now what we want to do is give it a little turn, a little jiggle. Okay? We don't have really any side-to-side play. That's a tad loose, so we're just going to snick it a little tight. Now we're going to tighten our pinch bolts. Now I'm going to say this and I'll probably eat my words later, but there's nothing on a bicycle that you need to crank down and tighten gorilla style. Just nice and snug. Nice and snug. We're not doing ugga-duggas or Newton meters today. Vein popped out of my head, that's where we stop. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to do our front end. Alright, our next step in our bike build is going to be our front end, okay? So, I was instructed to look at the camera. There it is. Okay, so if we notice now, some of your newer high-end frames come with what's called a tapered head tube. So if you notice, the top is 1 1/8 inch, flares out, tapers out to a 1 1/2 inch. Okay, you can use a straight fork in there, a traditional 1/8 fork, or you can do what Tony did, and we got these forks from Stay Strong, which are a company I personally endorse, but yet to see any money from. Now, if you notice, these forks also have a tapered steerer tube. So you have the 1 1/8 up here, flares out to 1 1/2 inch down here. That's going to sit right in there like that. And what that's going to do is that's going to create some extra stiffness in your front end for when you're coming out of the gate. And I can't even say stiff. So, just like everything else, we're just going to put a little grease down here. These Stay Strong forks come with an integrated bearing race, so you don't have to use the bottom race. Okay? We're just going to put a little grease on there because that's just a little point of contact. We're going to set them aside. Now what we're going to do is put this tube on a bench vise because this is the thickest grease ever. And we're going to put some grease in your cups. Again, don't have to do it too super aggressively like you did with some of the old school bikes that had loose ball bearings. But it's metal to metal contact. So we want to grease it up. So we're going to put grease right along the bottom.
Greasing your orifices.
Yes. We are not going to mark this video kid friendly. Okay. So, we have our tapered headset here. If you notice, our bottom bearing. 1.5 inch bottom bearing. Obviously, it's going to go in the bottom race. Again, little more grease. It's a sealed bearing, but it's still got a pivot. So we're going to pop that right up in now, like that. There. Now you notice our top bearing, smaller. That's our 1 1/8 inch. It's going to go up here. Again, a little bit of grease. Now if you notice, these bearings have a flat end and a beveled end with a slight slope on it. That sloped end is always going to go into the frame so that the flat end is up top and that can sit flat against your bearing races. Okay, so I will let you just zoom in on that quick while I wipe my hands. Next thing that's going to go on is our forks. So we're just going to slide our forks up through like so. Okay. Now, with the rest of our headset, we don't need any of that, any of that. We want this little piece here. And what's that little piece, you ask? That's a whatchamajigger. Okay. You notice it has a split. I don't know if you can see that right there, a split in it. Okay. What that split's going to do when you slide that in there is allow for when you use your compression bolt from your stem to push down, it's going to open that up and tighten your headset. Our next piece that's going to go on is our little wickamajigger doodad washer, which goes over like so. Now you notice we have some grease on our steerer tube, totally fine. Going to put our dust cap on, and then my lovely assistant Tony is going to grab our handlebar stem combo. Oh, and Tony, you wanted spacers, correct? You want
Yes.
You want them spaced out the way you had it before?
Here.
Okay. Tony had our 2 spacers. Gonna slide those spacers in there. Tony's gonna wiggle majigger that down there. Okay. And then just for now, where is our compression bolt? We're just going to throw our compression bolt on here just to hold everything together while we put the rest of the bike together. And a tad later, we will then talk about getting our headset tightness and all that good stuff. Okay, so now we're going to install the front wheel. So if you notice, we have forks here that have an enclosed dropout. We got a 20 millimeter hole here, which is obviously for a 20 millimeter front axle. We don't have a 20 millimeter front axle. We have a 3/8. So they're nice enough to give us these little adapters here that just thread together. Just thread together like a good little adapter. That's a good little adapter. So we just thread one into the other, like so. Okay. And that's going to get us down to our 3/8 that we need. Being on camera makes me nervous. Like the last time I was on camera was for like my prison interview. They were like, "Where were you on the night of the 23rd?" I'm like, okay.
Breaking into this little old lady's. I mean.
Okay. So now, if you notice, our hub is female, which means it's got these things in it. Don't want to offend anybody. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're just going to slide our wheel up in here to line up these things are too long. My hoodie ties. Vapor Trails Racing. Go get your Vapor Trails hoodie.
You need to do anything?
Yeah, if we can just hold the bars, because I'm running out of hands. And sometimes with these, you gotta spread the forks open a little bit. Or a lot. There we go. Okay. We're gonna get this in there, get them lined up. Get them lined up as best we can. See what we got here. Okay, you can let it go, Tony. Okay, that needs to come way down. Okay, get one side lined up. Bolt through there. It needs to come down a little bit. There we go. Now if you have traditional 3/8 inch forks, most of the time these are going to be slotted, so you don't have to take these bolts all the way out. You can just slide them right up into the forks. But everything is oversized these days. So if you want to go to a 20mm axle, then he can just pop these adapters out. And then slide that 20mm axle through there. And he's good. Okay. Spin that through, get it a little snug, spin that through, get it a little snug, and there's our wheels. Answer hole shot hubs, answer Pinnacle rims, answer send me some money. Thank you. Alright, so now we're going to put on the rear wheel. Okay, this one's going to be a quick one. If you notice, we already put on the chain tensioners, okay? That is going to work in conjunction with the integrated chain tensioners. So when you turn this bolt out, it's going to push onto our little platform here, and it's going to slide the wheel back, and it's going to keep your frame aligned. It's going to keep your chain tight, because the last thing we need Tony doing is coming out of the gate, moving that wheel forward and throwing a chain. Because when you throw a chain, you're going to pizza when you're supposed to French fry, and you're not going to have a good time. So, okay, we're just going to slide these out. We're going to put that in. If you notice, you see how it sits right up against there. Okay. Okay. And there's really not that much to it. Now we're just going to hand tighten this, because we're going to have to make some other adjustments, so we're not going to crank this down. No need to crank this down yet. So now we're going to be able to adjust that. We'll be able to adjust our chain tensioners, yada, yada, yada. We're going to install our chain ring now. We got our MCS 45 tooth chain ring, 4-bolt pattern, okay? We're just going to seat that on our spider like so, okay? Now, okay. So we're going to hold the back on, slide the back through here like so.
Need a second.
No, I think I got it. We just want to get that first one kind of tacked on. Okay. All right, so we got that first one kind of tacked on. Then we're just going to repeat around the whole chain ring. You don't want to tighten these down as you go. You just want to get them on there, and then we'll snug them up later. Okay. And you want to kind of tighten these kind of like you tighten a car tire or a car wheel. Not a tire. You don't tighten the tire. You tighten the wheel. And you want to alternate. There. That looks nice, the chrome.
Yeah, I think so. With the polished arms.
Just get it in there so it doesn't fall out. I got one too many packs. Now, since this is our last one, we can snug it up. And of course, that one's going to bind up a little bit. So we're going to try another back. And if that still binds up, we have a way to fix that. And it doesn't. Okay. So we're going to snug that one up. We're going to go over to here. We're going to snug that one up. Snug them up in a cross pattern. And voila! We have our chain ring installed. Now we're going to put on our metal go-go snake, or as some people call it, a chain. Okay. Now the first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to size this chain. I'm sure it's going to have to be cut. But we want to just kind of lay it on there, okay? And we want to take a look. And I'm going to let that up to you, Tony, as how does that look? Does it look straight?
Yes.
Look straight?
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes we have to adjust the in or out, the spacing of our rear cog to line that up, but we shouldn't have to do it this time. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put our chain together because we got a master link there. We're just going to kind of eyeball where we need to cut our chain. So, we need an inner link there, inner link there. That's where we're going to have to cut it. So we're going to cut our chain right there. Tony, you want to kind of guide that out so we don't scrape your frame up too bad. Okay. 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 So this is where we're going to break our chain, right here at this pin. Okay, we got our handy dandy chain breaker tool. We're going to sit it in just like that, okay? This side, this is a fancy one, okay, is going to hold our pin from that side. This side is going to pop our pin out. Now, I already have my stop set so that we never lose a link. Or a pin, sorry. Pop it out to our stop. Spin it back out. Take our other side off. A little more. And our chain is cut to the correct length. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to set our chain in there, and Tony's going to get our master link. This is a nice chain. I like this color.
Yeah, it's a chrome silver polished.
Okay. So if you notice our master links, okay, one is going to go to the inside. One is going to go on the other side on the outside. So then we're going to take some of our tension off this. So then when we snap them together, we shouldn't need a tool for this. We snap them together and we pull it. And our chain is linked together. Okay. Okay, so we have our back wheel in. We have our chain cut. We turned out our chain tensioners to get the proper tension. We're just going to snug up the back wheel, make sure we continue having proper tension. That's good. You don't want your chain too tight because obviously then it's going to bind up the cranks. You don't want them too loose because then when you're pedal, you're going to die. Because your chain is going to slip off. And again, see French fry pizza analogy. So we just want to give these a little snug. And our back wheel is on. Alright, so now we're going to install our brake cable. After we already installed our calipers, we put them on our posts here, tightened up our bolts. This little puppy here is called a noodle, okay? And this is what's going to give us our angle on our brake cable. So we're going to slide the noodle over top. And we're just going to seat it on our brake housing down here like so. Okay. Then your noodle's going to flex. And there's that little flange that's going to hook right onto your saddle. Like so. Now, if Noah ever watches this video and he sees me put it on without the dust cover, he's going to flay me alive. So this is your dust cover. Okay. So we're about halfway there. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to slide our cable through the caliper. Okay, Tony, are we still good up there?
Yep.
Okay. So now what Tony can do, because this is really difficult with one person, you can help me with this, Tony,
okay,
is we're going to use the old credit card trick. So if you want to push, like hold that there so that credit card doesn't fall out, okay, we're going to hold this here so this credit card doesn't fall out, and Tony is just going to hold that and get it down there a little farther down there like that so that I can get up to that bolt, okay?
got it.
Okay, now what we're going to do is, you can check that there.
Actually, I'll switch hands.
Okay, we're going to roll out our barrel adjuster about halfway. And we're going to lock our collar. The farther out this goes, the tighter your brakes are. Okay, so we want to have some adjustment to loosen those brakes up or tighten them up just a little bit each way. Okay, so now our next thing is to tighten this in there. So this is good to have a lovely assistant like Tony hold that, or else I'd have to hold it and tighten this all up at the same time. Gonna tighten that up, give it a snug. Okay, we're gonna take out our credit cards. Okay, now you see how we stopped here? We're rubbing a little bit. I think we're rubbing a little bit because somebody's wheels aren't really straight.
True that.
Get it? Okay. So now we're just going to start rolling our barrel adjuster in until our wheels spin freely. Okay, and we're all the way in. Okay. Now, we notice what we're actually going to do, give that a little more tension. Now what's going to happen over time is you're probably going to have to retighten these because that brake cable is going to stretch. Okay? So notice how we have one arm that's moving and one arm that's not.
Yeah.
Okay? So what we're going to do, that means we have probably too much tension on the spring coming through here, or not enough tension on the spring over here. So what we're going to do is, see these little adjusters here? We're going to adjust them And I am going to attempt to find, sorry about that, the correct wrench to adjust them. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some tension on this side, which means we're going to turn this screw in. So as we turn it, we're adding tension. See how, notice now we're adding tension, now both sides are turning? Or actuating?
Mm-hmm.
We may have to adjust the brake pads a little bit, adjust the tension. Some of the problem is your wheel's out of true.
A little bit.
Okay. We're actually going to add a little more tension to this side. You don't always have to add tension too. You can take tension out of one side and into the other, because yeah, we're spinning real good till we get right there. Right there is our spot, and then we free up at another spot. So
Yeah.
your wheels probably need a little bit of true.
Yep.
And this adjustment is just fine tuning. We're going to take a little tension out of that side. Okay. Alright, so now we're putting our pedals on. Little trick to your pedals. Your pedals, the threads are opposite. They're not going to tighten the same way on both sides. So, little trick is the pedals are always going to tighten towards the front of the bike. That way, when you're pedaling, it makes the pedals tighter and they don't fly off in the middle of the Pro Set at South Park, Tyler. So, we gotta flip our socket. Oops. Spin our pedals on. And voila, our pedals are on. Okay, we got Tony's bike built. He's out on the first ride. How's it feel, Tony?
Good.
It looks good. It looks really good.
Yeah. Ran into a couple little snags like you always will, but we worked our way through it and got it figured out. So we're gonna build some more bikes throughout the year, I'm sure. And we're gonna do some tech tips for you, how to put stuff together, how to take stuff apart the proper way, proper materials, proper tools. So we're gonna see you then. So thank you for watching Vapor Trails Racing. Like and subscribe.
Tony, wait.
Tony.
Tony.